Hi, everybody. My name is Jian Gao. I'm from Arizona State University. I'm a historian. I teach and research about migration and immigration, transnational migration, immigration law, etc. Uh, so I have a question from Maria from Tempe. Why is it so hard for some families to immigrate together? Well, this is one of the most common questions I get asked about the U.S. immigration law. Why is this? Why does it take so long for people to immigrate? Why does the permanent residency application take so long? Well, the answer is that there's a very deep historical trajectory of this. It goes all the way back to the 1800s, where the first federal restriction of immigration came to be, and that was the 1882 Chinese Exclusion Act. And the law kept on getting revised and kept on getting changed over time. But the foundational way of understanding immigration from the perspective of the state has remained the same. And so today we have a system, especially after 1965 Hart-Celler Act, that give certain groups of people certain priorities, and that is based on family connections and also work, skill labor, um, the level of skill that the state perceived to be useful to the nation. So those are the two major ways in which people immigrate, and one is through employment and the other is through family. And within these two categories, and there are subcategories of immigration, and each category gives preferences to different kinds of people. And the place of birth also matters. So even within the same category, different people who are born in different countries also receive different preferences, and those numbers are capped at a certain number. And so when we think about it, it looks very fair on paper. Right? Every country shares the same quota. People who are born in China would share the same quota as someone who was born in Vatican City, for example, the smallest country in the world. And so it looks fair on paper, right? It's not targeting a certain group of people based on their race or or their religion or their culture, etc. Right? Like the Chinese Exclusion Act, for example. So it is in effect, it is in appearance, it's more fair, but in reality, right? Like we think about in a very big country like China or India, that have a ton of more people, but it's capped at a certain number at the number as the same as a very tiny country. This kind of produces a long backlog for these groups of people. And so today, we know, people from China, India, Mexico, the Philippines, for example, depending on which category you're trying to immigrate, you're trying to claim in order to immigrate and gain permanent residency in this country. That backlog can go for sometimes several years to several decades, right? Especially people who are trying to claim employment-based immigration, who was born in India, for example, sometimes have to wait 20, 30 years. Someone who's from Mexico who's claiming a family reunification permanent residency, that can also take decades as well. And so, yeah, so there's a huge long backlog there, and so it's very difficult for people sometimes. So sometimes like people have to figure out, they have to strategize to who to sponsor, when to sponsor someone to immigrate, and also sometimes people were separated. The families are separated for many years, many decades. So those kinds of things happen all the time, and so yeah, so it is a very difficult, long process. Depends on where you're born, depends on the level of your skill and the closeness, or whether the closest of you to the family that you're trying to um, claim sponsorship for, and whether or not you have family at all, right? Like, so all these factors contribute to the immigration process for different kinds of people. And yeah, and hopefully I was able to give you some answers to this very challenging question. Um, and if you're interested in learning more about it, take my class. Thank you.